Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Avira Tech caters to the needs of Indian defense and aerospace industry, providing them the solutions that includes conceptualization, R&D, prototype modeling and development and implementation. Let's know all about it.
We started this organization for focusing on indigenization of. It's because of the initiative of Atmanirbhar and Make in India. Because there are a lot of problems which we found from the government agencies. They were not able to get a supply from foreign vendors. Especially we started our journey way back in 2018 when I was in a different organization where they had made to wait for some of the products from Russia which they were not able to produce some of the engine critical blades in Sukhoi, Odisha. So the challenge was posed to us, can we make a product which Russia was giving? So the GM came to us and then asked us, can you make it? Then we had actually not in the any of the defense sector. That is when that we posed as a challenge. In the 9 months, we were actually reproduced with the Firmfit product for them, which is a very marquee product during my initial days. Since then, we were actually posed 2-3 problems where they were able to, once they got that, they were able to produce the engines from, whereas some 10 to 15 engines, they wanted to go up to 45 engines a year, which is what actually initiated them outsourcing the blade manufacturing and outsourcing. That is what caused them, they are short of those supported equipments. So we could produce it, and then immediately within 3 years, we did around 55 machines. They were able to increase their productivity to 25 engines. So this is where the begin of our journey in the Make in India stuff. So since then they were having another problem with the engine testing with electronic product, which is vibration analyzer. That is another product which we had to take around 3 years to produce that and completely decode and the whole thing. So our main organization has an ability of multiple partners who has got ability of mechanical and design, which one of the ex-director is from the HAL. So another person from HCL who has actually worked in electronics, another instrumentation engineer who has actually has an ability of understanding the minute in instrumentation, and myself actually along with the Guru, who is actually an IT background, but we have come from the more of strategic as well. But since I am also an instrumentation engineer who had an ability of understanding the whole thing in last 4-5 years, we was able to understand many problems which government agencies are facing, especially in aerospace and defense. So we were able to bring in some of these engineering, precision engineering solutions. We never wanted to be a job worker in the aerospace and defense because majority of the problems comes in the electromechanical interfacing units, which is called a LRU. LRU is a line replaceable units, which are electrically driven mechanical precision units. So I will pick one of the example. That is where that we wanted to start our journey towards component manufacturing for aerospace. That is when 2022 we found that as an opportunity. Then grabbing some of the technologies from my earlier organization brought into Avira, as well as we took the indigenization of the critical aerospace components. That is when we started with one of the journey for Tejas, which is called electromechanical motorized valve, which actually transfers the fuel from one place to another place. So from 7 fuel tanks, it actually transfers between multiple tanks to maintain the aerodynamics, as well as controlled by a engine control unit, and fuel is injected into the engine. So this is the whole problem, which they were not getting a support from the European vendor. They were buying from them. They're supposed to be a 10-year is the warranty period for them, and they're supposed to support it. But the leakages were coming, and Europeans were not supporting them to stop the leakage. So the challenge was posed on us whether we can indigenize. So we did the complete form fit and never copied anything. So we took the philosophy and re-engineered the whole thing, and we brought it's one of the thing which we had marquee product for us. We had engineered and we made it aero qualification worthy design, and which is very compact, half of the size of they used to buy from the foreign vendor, and we made it work. And it was more powerful than a foreign vendor, and the leakage was even 5 drops in the 170 psi, so which is way below the requirement of it. So we were able to achieve that. So that was actually gave them a huge confidence in the way what they were trying to do. Now we were all tested the same equipment, the LRU, on all environmental test, which is gone from bottom, from high temperature. It's qualified all the tests. Now we are ready for placing this in aircraft. Majority, the support in electromechanical in India is very less, because the kind of expertise which goes away for our IT industry, bringing electromechanical precision components with the current infrastructure, whatever we had, it was very challenging, and it was challenging for government agencies also. That is why they were more and more, and the support in which they were getting from the foreign vendors was very less. So our beloved Prime Minister's the vision of Make in India and Atmanirbhar, actually it enabled every agency to come out very strongly on. They published the requirement of their precision component requirement on their websites. And also they had seminars. We had actually had an opportunity to sponsor a seminar for the indigenization of aerospace, aero engines in Koraput, Odisha. So where we had actually shown them expertise what we had done for LCA, and we had ability of doing high precision components mechanically and electrically and electronically in India. So then a lot of people actually approached us, making a new components for their platforms. Let me come to one of the key platform, which is Sukhoi is one of the key platform for defense fighter jets, and that is our marquee fighter. And the second one is the LCA. LCA has got up to, they started developing up to 6th gen, which is called AMCA. And the second thing is they have a Make 1, Mark 2, and then AMCA. Mark 1 is already into the production. We have recently received around 97 engines for HAL. So that will actually turn out to be a huge opportunity for us. In the similar electromechanical actuator, in the same platform, we have got a 25 dia, and there is another some more versions of the valves has been, which is actually supplying to engines, has been being developed. And this is being developed by Aeronautical Development Authority. And they have approached us because our success in the LCA Mark 1, we had made 40 dia actuator, and they had approached us to make the other versions of the actuator, which we had already completed the critical design review with them and got a sign off. So we will be commercially working with them to take it further. This is one of the platform on Tejas, which are AMCA is coming 6th gen, and another one is Mark 2 is another platform. And similarly, the same platforms have been carried to a Dornier, which is a transport vehicle for the military, and that is more of a qualification required because it's a also carries the people. So it has a civilian qualification requirement there. And we also have a the helicopter. uses the same actuator for fuel transfer. Okay, that's another one. Similar to that, this is more of a wall based. So when our expertise more from another area where we have a sensor based. Sensors are critical elements of any engines, especially pressure switches, pressure sensors, and electromagnetic valves. These are coil based, core based equipments. One is mechanical valves and mechanical initiatives and actuations happens, and also sense it through the coils. So these are the high precision coils which are not a electronically chip based sensors, because you can't use the chip based sensors in aerospace. You have to go by our old method of original coil and core based. So those are the one which we are developing. Currently we are developing one of the very critical sensor for which is called absolute pressure sensor for Sukhoi. We have got a sign off on the design, and we have also done a prototyping, and we have also fitted a prototype into the aeroplane Sukhoi and got the clearance. So now we are going to produce qualification products. So we will run through qualification testing for next 6 months to a year. Then we get it qualified. This is the most critical which is not being supported by Russia again. So similarly, there are 4 more equipments which are called pressure switches, which are all diaphragm based. See, many of the diaphragms are not manufactured in India. Those are the membrane based. So membrane based is one of the key invention from us, where we were able to produce tools and techniques for it, and we were able to produce the membranes. And based on membranes, you will develop many of the pressure switches, which actually acts in engines. It sits with the engines and gives the signal to the engine control unit. These are our specialized products. Especially we focus on membrane based and coil based, and also the gear based, motor and gear based LRUs. Our critical components lies around electromechanical, both from the sensor perspective as well as the receiver perspective. That is how we develop multiple products. So now we are into multiple like angle sensor. These are all coil and core based. Angle sensor, there are electromagnetic valves. We have actually won 2 or 3 deals more. And apart from that, our capability in terms of IoT is another key area, which digitization is our key area, which Guru and myself handle and separately. Especially many of the products which are in the Navy, especially when we got an invitation from Navy, they were struggling on some of the problems which they were facing in terms of, say for example, production process itself. So we went there, studied them, and we saw that they have around 8 months of overhauling period for their engines. They want to cut down to 3 months. So one of the example we picked up was a centering of the huge engine cases of the ship engines. So there's a 5-6 stages and multiple components come in there. So for doing that, it takes quite a lot of time actually. They used to take about 3 days, 5 days to just center it. Then came up with a simple solution or digital solution. I think we can show later down as well as our product. We implemented as well. Now that has come down to 20 to 40 minutes. The 4 days work has come down to the 20-40 minutes, and any layman can do the job. So these are the technical solutions which brings in quite a value to the organization. What happens in the whole process, the strengthening of our production process and also ability of making our made in India products within ourselves. And also we want to use a lot of these our framework to bring in upcoming some of the engineers who actually wants to be in the mechanical and electrical field, wants to learn and take this further, so that we make because our framework is very clear, and we have a center of excellence where we do a dissection of the product when the indigenization comes, and we do a form fit design and ensure that all the parameters are taken care, and we do the mock-up and then prototyping, then do the qualification testing, go through the entire military grade testing, then it qualifies. Once it qualifies, it goes into the production cycle. This is the whole cycle which we have built a center of excellence. Actually getting demand and making many other products, but our focus is currently on majoritarily the coil based, membrane based and the electromagnetic valves and the motor and gear driven valves. So that is how we are making these products. So we are also tying up with quite a lot of, say, we have a collaboration with NAL for making the sensors. We have a collaboration with some of the engineering colleges, especially thanks to AIC Jyoti. They had actually incubated us in developing one of the sensor, where they had funded as well for us, especially on the seed fund. And also we are also giving an opportunity for their engineers to come forward to work with us, and we have also offered an internship for them, both from the where the new technology in the IoT space, as well as we have we are developing, designing and developing some of the key sensors. So we have also given an opportunity for the mechanical engineers to come forward so that they can work on the high critical, the futuristic aerospace products, which can be made in India.
It could be cliche, but I'll anyway say it. The team is one of the key factors. If you look at the team, it's pretty diverse. The 5 or 6 of us who are part of the key, of the startup. One is an IT, one is a mechanical engineer, one is an electronics engineer, one is an electrical engineer, one is an instrumentation engineer. And this kind of incidentally, gels into what we are looking at. All the products which I think Prashant would have also spoken about is electromechanical kind of work, which leads to a lot of calibrations, also requires sometimes a software needs, also requires a mechanical precision needs. The way this whole thing is defined, we are like 5 or 6 of us who have actually touched each of these areas in a different form and mastered one of it. So that actually happens to be a very beneficial, because actually we have spoken to some of our competitors and we found them either they don't have a mechanical guy, or they don't have an electronics guy, or they don't have an IT or software guy. And that struggle, so they always outsource something to certain things. We are able to get an end-to-end design because our team is internally defined, and we are able to get an end-to-end design because of the team which is out there. The second part is on the kind of components choosing we are doing. So we are not going and picking up every component which is part of the need. When we actually defined our Avira Tech from our previous company to Avira Tech as a defense need and defense solutions, we are not looking at all products and just going into it. So we are picking up what we call as line replaceable units, which are very, very unique. What really has happened is within the government, they have actually categorized what are the import problems, what are the import items which they are doing into a category A, B and C. And A is the most critical, B is next critical, C is kind of, run of the mill kind of stuff which you can anywhere get it from anywhere, which is easiest. We look at C, but our focus is on B and A. And the products which the actuators or the pressure sensors or the pressure switches which we are looking at for the Navy, all of these are in category B actually, and these are high-end work which usually, needs this combination of work right from, an electronic mechanical to electrical engineer to an IT guy. So that is an important factor when we pick up the engine. So because that actually cuts short, so we don't run around to people to get things done. We are able to get it done ourselves. So R&D comes down. So even when I say now our gestation period is still very high, our R&D is almost a year because the testing takes a longer time. So even that might, another industry might look, oh, you're taking 1 year to do a product. But in a defense industry, that 1 year is very short. And if you look at our DRDOs, they will see the product's plan is actually 5 years, 10 years. That is how they plan the product. So if I'm able to get them a product which they are thinking within a year, then their overall plan would shrink down by 4 years or 3 years. And that's what they are looking at. And we are able to tell them that we will be able to do it. That's a key factor, which the reason why they pick up. Like, HAL or somebody picks up is only the reason is because we are able to give a timeline which is much more shorter. Even if they import an equipment now from, let's say, from Russia, let's say they want a 30 or a 50 equipments of the components they need, they'll give a 3-year time frame and they'll give piece by piece, and you have to pay them upfront. All that. These are not, one, because we are able to promise them within 1 year period and not a 3-year period. Second, the ease in which they are able to contact us, we are locally out here, we are able to go get it done. and any reasons, any changes in the design, which is over the table counter, and everything is done very quickly, so that the whole, that R&D cycle is so much crunched that what was supposed to be 4 year, 5 year is coming down slowly, and we assume that as the days goes forward, it will be much lower. And one of the key reasons I think is a huge differentiator. And Indian players also, I don't see too many Indian players in this market. I mean, our key competition is again, from abroad, because many of these components might be available. But in Indian, you don't see a combination of people out there, which is also causing them a huge problem. The second element is, procurement. We call something called COC, Certificate of Compliance, which means that everything, even a smallest screw, the smallest of the smallest screw, what we buy has to be airworthiness. It has to be an airworthiness. So where to buy, how to procure, how long it will take, why would it take so long, where we'll have to give it. We have a list of vendors where we can get through. This is a huge research we have done much earlier. We have a complete list of stuff where we have to go, If somebody asks us, HL comes and says I need this kind of a material, we know this is the material, this is iodized one, this is where we'll have to go get it. They already have a COC, they will have a batch. It becomes easy for them when they come and do an inspection that, this is all done, or this is the company, we also know, check, tick. Many others actually have an extended story there, because they'll get the stuff, then they'll say there's no COE, then they go back to the desk, rework, again redo the design and change it. That redoing of design is never there in our. We do have a redo of design, I shouldn't say that. That is more because the specs changes, not because of these, procurement, simple, off the table work, which is logistics work. That is all cut down, and we have a clear cycle of logistics which cut down our cycle time. The multiple impacts. If you look at the huge budgets which is coming out for defense budgets, they are in crores, okay? And these budgets are kept in mind that, a lot of things have to be imported. And the budgets are very huge, thousands and thousands of crores in the budgets. If we are saying, we would be a small element, but if we are able to, let's say, a 30 lakh equipment, which perhaps is a pressure sensor, just picking up a number, 30 lakhs is a pressure sensor which they have to buy from Russia. I would actually do it at a 12 lakhs, and there are 500 numbers of it. There's a huge saving, hundreds and hundreds of crores of savings like that we could bring to the table. And that money actually, government, I think that's the reason why they have done it also, where they brought in the Make in India Atmanirbhar, where they can reroute all the budget money somewhere else for a much more a purpose for a social needs, rather than putting into defense needs. That is the reason why that, the whole cost factor which brings it down to the cost of saving and producing and getting the whole indigenization. The second, the moment we do this indigenous, the kind of the employment opportunities we create here, huge number of opportunities we create here, which otherwise wouldn't have been there, because everything we import. So what will happen is there's a trader sitting or there are a broker sitting who calls these data, he brings those items, sells it with all the complaints. Maybe 3 guys can do it. But in our case, for a simple actuator, we'll have about 8 or 9 people FTE effort, which actually goes into it end to end for a year or 2. And if we have to produce 500 of those, then much more of those, then we'll have an assembly line, we'll have people, operators. So from the lowest level, from a polytechnic level to a designer at a PhD level, we will be able to generate, employment for the people, which otherwise you will end up seeing these guys actually at the high-end guys going off abroad, doing something else, and end up actually going to IT. Another reason we see is, since we are also in the mechanical and electronics part, all the team which, this is something which we have been talking to the education institutes also, we are seeing the whole of the mechanical input, engineering input from the students are very low. Almost, some of the colleges are actually closing down the mechanical engineering. So what we thought is this is a big platform for them, and we might be a small, but I'm thinking this is the foundation. Maybe 10 years down the line, if not us, 10 companies like us are there, there'll be huge set of mechanical engineers need where they'll be able to do this high-end work. These are not small, and these actually are done by scientists from ADA or DRDO, but the other teams also get an opportunity to do it. So you will see actually a lot of people staying out back in India. So that I think is a huge impact, if not now in 2 years or 3 years down the line, at least 10 years down the line.